name is Derek Frem. I've been in the video, film, and media production business for over 30 years. I started out in 16mm documentary film and worked through the days of tube video cameras and tape-based linear editing. For the past dozen years, I've had my own company producing HD video for a variety of clients. Along the way, I've won a few awards and learned a lifetime of knowledge on how to professionally shoot video, record audio, and create professional media. I'm not telling you this to toot my own horn, but rather to let you know that I've made a pretty good living in video production for a long time using certain techniques, because while technology is always changing, the basics of visual storytelling are timeless. What are those basics? Proper camera operation, proper lighting, and clean audio recording. First off, let me tell you what this series is and what it isn't. This series is not for the intermediate or advanced operator who is already in the marketplace earning a living. This series is for those of you who, like me, as a kid may have bolted a camera to a sled or a bicycle, or later on made films with friends and thought, wow, this would be pretty cool to do for a living. Now, you may have shot some footage with an iPhone or a GoPro, but that is not enough to do this professionally. This series is like a boot camp, taking a raw recruit with no experience in the beginning, and at the end, turning that recruit into a professional, ready to take on the world. If you follow all of my videos in this series, you will have the knowledge to become a freelance camera operator, or work for a television news station, or work for a production company. Now, you could spend many thousands of dollars to attend a school to learn all this, or instead buy this series and spend your savings on buying equipment to start your own business. The first video is about what types of equipment you should buy. And the next segment is on how to shoot professional video. This is followed by segments on lighting, recording professional audio, tips, and best practices. Hey folks, here's a tip for you. I've got my car all packed up full of my camera gear, and I'm on my way to shoot some stock footage. Now, what is stock footage? Stock footage is B-roll that producers and production companies pay for. What is B-roll? B-roll are scenes that you shoot on camera, and it supports the story that you're telling. So let's say, for example, you're shooting a story about the environment. Well, you want to show some scenes of nature and animals and wildlife. That's B-roll. Producers and production companies buy their stock footage online from websites like Shutterstock.com and Pond5. So anytime you're not working, you have a day off, take your camera out and shoot some stock footage. And you can create a passive income stream for yourself. In the meantime, let's take a look at some actual program content from Videographer's Bootcamp. I'll teach you all about equipment and how to shoot compelling video footage. Shooting handheld. All of the information we discussed about shooting from a tripod apply to shooting handheld as well. There are 3 reasons for shooting handheld. The first is a stylistic decision. Your production may call for a lot of movement and a lot of camera shake within a scene. The second reason is to get an angle or position that you couldn't get with a tripod. The third reason is that if you're shooting in a fast-paced environment like news or sports, a tripod will slow you down. I've had to shoot on fast-moving boats in choppy water in the midst of a throng of people getting a key interview for news, and with a camera on my head to get a shot where other photographers in front are blocking me. All these situations call for shooting handheld. Here are 2 scenes I shot handheld to make a point. What do you notice? The scene without any action is noticeably bad. 2 things to remember. Movement of a handheld shot will not be noticed if there's action within the shot. If shooting a still life or scenic, camera movement and shake is very noticeable, distracting, and amateurish. The second thing to know is that as your focal length increases, so does your camera shake. That is, handheld camera movement is less noticeable with your lens set on wide than if you're zoomed in tighter. There's a chapter on lighting for outdoors, for indoors, and for green screen. If you're shooting in a more controlled environment, there are 3 ways to light a scene. The first is using solely the ambient light. When digital video first hit the scene, one of the misnomers was that you no longer needed to light for video. Yeah, right. Somehow magically, the digital video camera would make all your footage look spectacular. As an editor, I've had many videographers' content come to me who seem to still think this is the case. They will shoot an interview and not light their subject. Don't be one of those people. The end result looks bad no matter how much color correcting you do in post. The second way is somewhat better but still not optimal. In this category are the videographers who don't understand the role of light in their art. Their goal is to make sure their video levels are 100%. These folks will mount a light behind the camera and wash the subject with light. They will leave whatever ambient light on in the room and supplement or overpower their subject with a lighting fixture. It's visually passable and technically okay as long as they've taken care to match their light sources for color temperature. But it's uninteresting to look at. There's no depth and there's no shadow, there's no dimension. In its worst form, it gives the subject the deer caught in the headlights look. Let's look at how to use a reflector indoors. If we move that one light to the side as a key light, we can move a reflector to the other side of the talon's face to bounce the key light and act as a fill light. There's an old saying, video without picture is radio, but video without audio is garbage. We'll teach you all about the settings in your camera and how you can record clean, crisp, professional audio for video. Because of the horrible background noise, I would never shoot a scene like this out on a real job by an air conditioning unit. But I'm doing it now to illustrate a point about audio levels and background noise. Now, I always run my main channel of audio, whether it's a lavalier or a hand mic or shotgun mic, on manual level control. That way it keeps the background noise at a constant level. Now, I'm going to turn it to automatic in a moment, and you're going to hear for yourself the difference. Now we've got the audio level control on automatic. Notice how the background noise changes in level. When I stop talking, the background noise increases. And then when I start talking again, it decreases. It's this constant fluctuation of the background noise increasing and decreasing, which makes for bad audio. This is really important if you're shooting in a noisy environment, say at a sporting event, or outdoors by the water with waves crashing, or in a busy nightclub. So you want to get in the habit of always using manual level control for your main channel of audio. Audio settings on the camera. As a reminder, keep your audio levels set to manual to keep loud noises from increasing in volume during pauses and speaking. An exception to this rule is the on-camera shotgun mic, which most of the time is capturing nat sound or natural sound. I usually leave this on auto as I normally don't monitor this channel on my headphones during interviews, and I don't want to record levels too hot, so I'll let the camera set its own level. On your main channel of audio, set the dial to the center to start. Make sure the selector switch is set to mic if you're recording a microphone, or line if you're recording line level audio from a source like an audio board. Make sure your headphone monitor selection is set to your main channel of audio. Check your audio level before you start recording. Have your talent speak in the tone of voice he or she will be using and adjust your level accordingly. One of the classic cases everyone goes through at some point is a talent that gives you an audio check at one level, and then when you're recording, blows you out of the water. So prepare for this by having them read some copy instead of just saying, check 1, 2, 3, and keep your level a little low in anticipation of the audio salvo you'll receive when recording begins. Now that we have the basic settings on the outside of the camera, let's take a look at the settings in your camera's menu. Your camera may be different, but here are some common user-adjustable menu settings. Gain. Start with 0. If you get a low level of audio, boost the gain to +6 or more. until your audio level is acceptable. If the audio level is too loud and goes into distortion, change the gain setting to -6 and so on until your audio level sounds normal. Make fine-tune adjustments with the dial for that audio channel on the side of your camera. Wind filter. What this does is block low audio frequencies. Always leave this off unless you're shooting outdoors and still getting wind noise on your mic, despite having a windscreen on it. Why not just leave it on all the time? Because by blocking the low frequencies, your audio will have a tinier sound. Usable, but not optimal. You don't want to use the wind filter unless you have to. Limiter. This will electronically limit the level of the audio signal. It's different from auto level in that it is not always boosting or decreasing gain automatically. It's more of a ceiling to how loud audio is being recorded. I always leave this on because sometimes you get into a situation like if you're recording an interview and the person is speaking softly and then unexpectedly shouts or starts speaking in a much louder tone. Without the limiter, the audio level will record too hot and go into distortion, resulting in bad audio. This is an example of somebody speaking in a very soft voice with the limiter off, and when they get loud, it goes into distortion. Now we're speaking softly again with the limiter on, and when I get loud, you can see that the limiter is cutting the audio before it goes into distortion. There are a million trapdoors you can fall through in the video business, and believe me, I have fallen through about half of them. So you can take advantage of my years of experience and learn how to overcome obstacles and be prepared for any problems that may arise on a video shoot. This segment will discuss some tips and a few tricks to make your life easier as a videographer. There are countless things that can unexpectedly come up that can sabotage a video shoot, and the more that you're prepared to deal with them, the easier your life will be. First off, let's discuss the 3 things that every pro should have on him or herself at all times. If you don't have any of these 3 items on your person and need to ask someone else on the crew for them, well, that's a really bad thing. It's like a carpenter showing up for work and asking for a hammer, or a plumber coming to work and needing to borrow a wrench. Number 1 is lens tissue, or a lens cloth. If you're shooting and you don't have a means of cleaning your lens handy, you should just quit and do something else for the rest of your life. I always carry lens tissue and cloth along with a lens brush and liquid cleaner should your lens get seriously dirty. Number 2 is a multi-tool. You should carry a multi-tool on your belt at all times. This tool should contain at least 2 flathead screwdrivers, a Phillips head screwdriver, pliers, scissors, and a knife of some kind. Keep in mind that if you're traveling to a shoot via airplane, you cannot carry this multi-tool on board with you, and it should be in checked baggage. Number 3 is a flashlight. I don't care what kind you carry, but it should be portable and discreet. You need this in dark situations to balance your tripod head, scout for electrical outlets, connect cables in a dark backstage environment, and a host of other reasons. One of the flashlights I carry in my kit is this super cheap LED flashlight. It costs about $3, and not only can I use it for the reasons previously mentioned, but I can also use it in a pinch to light an interview subject or other scenes. For that reason, I taped a small piece of diffusion over it. Just make sure you white balance accordingly, because this particular flashlight's color temperature is daylight. The last chapter is on best practices, which is basically how to act like a professional and keep getting paid gigs. This is the final segment of our series, a quick review thus far. We have talked about what features you need in your equipment, how to shoot professional video, how to light, recording professional audio, and some helpful tips. This segment will discuss the best practices for how to conduct yourself as a professional. Two of the most impressionable sayings I heard early on were, "Nobody was ever fired for showing up early," and "If you're late and we've already started, we don't need you so you can go home." Always be on time for your crew call. There is no excuse for ever being late. Check online the day before what the travel time is to your destination and add at least 30 minutes for traffic, accidents, trains, or whatever. When you're booked, ask about location and parking. There may be special instructions for parking, and if not, you need to plan for it. And you need to make sure that that's included in your day rate. Unless the client has specified that breakfast is included in the day, eat and have your coffee before you leave for the location. Show up ready to work. And ask about dress code. You don't want to show up at a formal affair wearing old tennis shoes and shorts. Okay, that's the overview of Videographer's Boot Camp and a little taste of what you'll learn there. Go to the link on the screen to get to the actual course, and let's get that new career as a videographer up and running.